Mataji is just sharing. Jyoti Mataji? Yeah, thank you, Jyoti Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yes, Mataji. Now we
See
can.
the screen. Can you do one in like a Sanskrit verse as well? Is that possible?
Okay. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jyoti Mataji.
Thank you. May I start?
Yes, Mataji, with invocation, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 4. The process of creation. Text 1. Sutta Vacha. Vyasakereति vascha tattva nischaya atmana upataya mati krishne otareya sati vyadat.
Hare Krishna. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaja Pariksit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadeva Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna.
Atmajaya sutangara prasruddha vishnabandhusu raji chavikale nityam viruddham mamatam jaho.
Maharaja Pariksit, as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up all deep-rooted affection for his personal body, his wife, his children, his palace, his animals like horses and elephants, his treasury house, his friends and relatives, and his disputed kingdom.
Meena Mataji, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, I was mute. Prapascha chamamevartha yamma pushyastasatama krishnanubhava sravane saddhano mahamana sanstam vignaya sanyasya karma trevagikam jasyat vasudeve bhagavati atmabhavam tadagataha.
O great sages, the great soul Maharaja Pariksit, constantly wrapped in thought of Lord Krishna, knowing well of his imminent death, renounced all sorts of fruitive activities, namely acts of religion, economic development, and sense gratification, and thus fixed himself firmly in his natural love for Krishna, and asked all these questions exactly as you are asking me.
Rajo uvacha samachinam vacho brahman sarvagnasya tavarnatya tamo visi.
Hare Krishna, Meena Mataji.
Yes,
Mataji,
Swami, you did not hear me?
now we
Hare
can. Now we can. Thank you.
Rajo uvacha samachinam vacho brahman sarvagnasya tavanyata tamo visiyate mahyam hare kathayata katham.
Maharaja Pariksit said, O learned Brahmana, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord.
Hare Krishna, Meena Mataji. Meena Mataji, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Somebody is calling me, but yeah.
Mataji, please.
भूय एव विविस्मामि भगवाना आत्मया यथेद सृजते विश्वं दुर्विभाव्य अधीश्वरे.
I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead, by his personal energies, creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigod.
यथा गोपायति विभु यथा गोपायति विभु यथा सम्मर्शते पुनः यां शक्तिमुपाश्रित्य पुरःशक्ति परं पुमान् आत्मानं क्रीडयनं क्रीडन् करोति विकरोति च.
Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all-powerful, engages his different energies and different expansions, maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world in the sporting spirits of a
नूनं भगवतो ब्रह्मन् हरेरद्भुतकर्मणः दुर्विभाव्य विभावाति कविभिः चापि चेष्टितम्.
O learned Brahmana, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful, and they appear inconceivable because even the great endeavors by many learned scholars have still proved insufficient for understanding them.
यथा गुणास्तु प्रकृते युगपत्कर्मसोऽपि वा बिभर्ति पुरीसक्ते का कुर्वन्न कर्माणि जन्मभिः.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, whether he alone acts with the modes of material nature, or simultaneously expands in many forms, or expands consecutively to direct the modes of nature.
विचिकित्सितमे तन्मे ब्रवीतु भगवान् यथा शाब्दे ब्रह्मणि निष्णात् परिस्यंश्च पवा खलु.
Kindly clear up all these doubtful inquiries, because you are not only vastly learned in the Vedic literatures and self-realized in transcendence, but are also a great devotee of the Lord, and are therefore as good as the personality of Godhead.
सुत उवाच इत्युप्राममित्रतो राज्ञा गुणानुकथने हरे ऋषिकेशमनुस्मृत्य प्रतिवक्तुं पचक्रमे.
Suta Goswami said, when Suka Goswami was thus requested by the king to describe the creative energy of the personality of Godhead, he then systematically remembered the master of the senses, Sri Krishna, and to reply properly he spoke thus.
श्रीसुख उवाच नमः परमस्मै पुरुषाय भूयसे सत्त्वावस्थानिरोधलीलाया गृहीतशक्तित्रित्रभाया देहिना मन्तभावायानुपलक्ष्यवत्मनि.
Sukadeva Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who for the creation of the material world accepts the three modes of nature. He is the complete whole residing within the body of everyone, and his ways are inconceivable.
तुयो नमो सदजिनचिदेशता मस बाबायखिलसत्त्वमूर्तये पुंसा पुनः पारमहस्याश्रमे व्यवस्थिताना मनुमृगदाशुषे
Arpita? We can't hear you, Arpita.
Sorry, Mataji.
But that's fine.
I again offer my respectful obeisances unto the form of complete existence and transcendentance, who is the liberator of the pious devotees from all distress, and the destroyer of the further advances in atheistic temperament of the non-devotee demons. For the transcendentalists who are situated in the topmost spiritual perfection, he grants their specific destinations.
नमो नमस्ते नमो नमस्ते स्वसुस्वाय सात्वता विदूरकाष्ठाय मुहुकुयोगिनाम निरस्तसाम्यातिशयनेन राजसा स्वाधामनि ब्रह्मणिरस्यते नमः
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, who is the associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty, and who is always a problem for the non-devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable.
यकीर्तिनयस्मरणं यदीक्षणं यदनन्दन यश्वणं यर्दहरणं लोकस्य सख्यो विधुनोति कल्मषं तस्मै सुभद्र स्रवसे नमो नमः
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrances, audience, prayers, hearing, and worship can at once cleanse the effects of all sins of the performer.
विचक्षणाय चरणोप्रसादनाथ सङ्गं युधस्यो भयतोरन्तरात्मन् विदन्ति हि ब्रह्मगति गतकलमा तस्मै सुभद्र स्रवसे नमो नमः
Let me offer my respectful obeisances again and again unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna, the highly intellectual, simply by surrendering unto his lotus feet, are relieved of all attachments to present and future existences, and without difficulty progress towards spiritual existence.
तस्मै स्वनुदानपरा यशस्विनो मनस्विनो मन्त्रविद सुमुद्रलाः क्षेमं न विदन्ति विनायदपणं तस्मै सुभद्र स्रवसे नमो नमः
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-auspicious Lord Sri Krishna again and again, because the great learned sages, the great performers of charity, the great workers of distinction, the great philosophers and mystics, the great chanters of the Vedic hymns, and the great followers of Vedic principles cannot achieve any fruitful results without dedication of such great qualities to the service of the Lord.
किरातहुणाद्रपुलिन्द कसा आभिरसुपायवना कसादय येनेन पापा यदपाश्रयाश्रया सुदन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः.
Hirata, Puna, Andara, Pulinda, Pulkasa, Abira, Sumba, Yavana, members of the Kasa races, and even others addicted to sinful acts, can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Due to his being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
स एष आत्मा आत्मा आत्मवतान्धईश्वर स्त्रयीमयो धर्ममयस्तपोमयः गतव्यलिकेरच शङ्करादिभिः वितक्यलिङ्गो भगवान् प्रसीदताम्.
He is the Supersoul and the Supreme Lord of all self-realized souls. He is the personification of the Vedas, religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiv, and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions, being so revered with awe and veneration. May that Supreme Absolute be pleased with me.
श्रियं प्रतीयज्ञपति प्रजापते क्रियापति लोकपति धरापति पति गतिश्चातक कुर्वुष्णी सात्वतां प्रसीदता मे भगवान् सतां पतिः.
May Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipful Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andaka and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me.
Sorry, you need to be down, please. Krishna. यदत्यक्त्यानसमाधितोतया धियानुपश्यन्ति हि तत्त्व आत्मनः वदन्ति चेतत् कवयो यथा रुचं स मे मुकुन्दो भगवान् प्रसीदताम्.
It is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who gives liberation by thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of authorities. The devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me.
प्रचोदितायेन पुरा सरस्वती वितत्वत्ता च स्य सती स्मृतिं हृदिः स्वलक्षणा प्रादुवृतविकिलाश्यत स मे ऋषिणा सुसभ प्रसीदताम्.
May the Lord, who in the beginning of the creation amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and of his own self, appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma. Be pleased with me.
उते महद्रिय इमा पुरो विभु निर्मायसेते यदमुस्पुरुषः भुक्ते गुणान् स्वदश सोदशात्मक सोलकौशिष्ट भगवान् वञ्चासि मे.
May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who in his Purusa incarnation causes the living being to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements.
नमस्तस्मै भगवते वासुदेवाय वेदसे प्रपूज्ञानमयं सौम्या यं मुखामुरुहासवम्.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudeva, who complied the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge, dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord.
यत देवात्मा भुजराजनः नारादयावे पुरुष्यते वेदगर्भा प्रत्यात साक्षात् यदा हरिरात्मनः.
Virgin King Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narada, exactly apprised him on this subject as it had been directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who is impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you for the recitation. So, Jyoti Mataji, I can share my screen?
Hare
Yes.
Krishna Prabhuji, yes, you can share screen.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, here it is. Let me just adjust my screens a little bit. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. So today we are going to discuss last 3 verses of the 4th chapter of the 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. As Mataji were going through reading the verses, Shukdev Goswami has started his Mangala Charana in this chapter by offering the prayers to the Supreme Lord and to his own father, which is the 24th verse here. So let us start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Yam Pravrajandamanupe Tamape Krityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Aju Ava Putreti Tanmayatayo Tarvo Bhinedus Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi. In fact, this is the beautiful prayer, which is 23rd verse onwards. We should chant this as an invocation. Bhutair mahadbhirya imah puro vibhu nirmaya shete yadamushu purushaha bhunte gunan shodasha shodashatmakaha solanga krishishta bhagavan vacham sime. So this is also a beautiful prayer. So that's why I thought we should chant this as a Mangala Charana, following the footsteps of the great Acharya, Shukdev Goswami. So, this is the first verse, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who, in his Purusha incarnation, causes the living being to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statement. So beautiful. Purport. Srila Prabhupada's purports for all the These invocation prayers are absolutely mind-blowing, amazing purports Prabhupada gives here. So let's see these purports. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As a fully dependent devotee, Shukdev Goswami, unlike a mundane man who is proud of his own capability, invokes the pleasure of the personality of Godhead so that his statements may be successful and be appreciated by the hearers. The devotee always thinks of himself as instrumental for anything successfully carried out, and he declines to take credit for anything done by himself. The godless atheist wants to take all credit for activities, not knowing that even a blade of grass cannot move without the sanction of the Supreme Spirit, the personality of Godhead. Shukdev Goswami therefore wants to move by the direction of the Supreme Lord, who inspired Brahma to speak the Vedic wisdom. The truths described in the Vedic literatures are not theories of mundane imagination, nor are they fictitious, as the less intelligent class of men sometimes think. The Vedic truths are all perfect descriptions of the factual truth, without any mistake or illusion. And Shukdev Goswami wants to present the truths of creation not as a metaphysical theory of philosophical speculation, but as the actual facts and figures of the subject. Since he would be dictated by the Lord exactly in the same manner as Brahmaji was inspired, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, very important verse. So let's read this verse. Sarvasya chaham hridisannivishto mattah smrutiritnyanam apohanam cha vedeshcha sarver ahameva vedyo vedanta krutveda videva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Prabhupada gives very beautiful details, right up to he brings the Vedanta Sutra, as we can see here, and gives very articulated details in the purport of this 15th chapter. In fact, all the verses of Bhagavad Gita, we see so many things. To some of the verses today of Bhagavad Gita, but let's move forward. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Lord is himself the father of Vedanta knowledge, and it is he only who knows the factual purport of the Vedanta philosophy. So there is no greater truth than the principles of religion mentioned in the Vedas. Such Vedic knowledge or religion is disseminated by authorities like Shukdev Goswami because he is a humble devotional servitor of the Lord who has no desire to become a self-appointed interpreter without authority. That is the way of explaining the Vedic knowledge, technically known as the Parampara system or a descending process. The intelligent man can see without mistake that any material creation, whether one's own body or a fruit or flower, cannot beautifully grow up without the spiritual touch. The greatest intelligent man of the world or the greatest man of the science can present everything very beautifully only insofar as the spirit life is there, or in so much as the spiritual touch is there. Therefore, the source of all truths is the Supreme Spirit and not gross matter, as wrongly conceived by the gross materialist. We get information from the Vedic literature that the Lord himself first entered the vacuum of the material universe, and thus all things gradually developed one after another. Similarly, the Lord is situated as localized Paramatma in every individual being. Hence, everything is done by him very beautifully. The 16 principal creative elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, sky, and the 11 sense organs, first developed from the Lord himself and were thereby shared by the living entities. Thus, the material elements were created for the enjoyment of the living entities. The beautiful arrangement behind all material manifestations is therefore made possible by the energy of the Lord, and the individual living entity can only pray to the Lord to understand it properly. Since the Lord is the supreme entity, different from Shukadeva Goswami, the prayer can be offered to him. The Lord helps the living entity to enjoy material creation, but he is aloof from such enjoyment. Shukadeva prays for the mercy of the Lord, not only for being helped personally in presenting the truth, but also for helping others to whom he would like to speak. So amazing, so beautiful. So let's go to the next verse. Namastasmai namas bhagavate vasudevaya vedase papurjnanam ayam saumya yan mukham buruhasavam. Translation: I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink of the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Purport: in pursuance of specific utterance, Vedase, or the compiler of the system of transcendental knowledge, Srila Sridhar Swami has commented that the respectful obeisances are offered to Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Vasudeva. Srila Jiva Goswami has agreed to this, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has made a further advance, namely that the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts, and thus they learn the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, and all such things which are relished by the Lord. He's a Madhurya Acharya, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So naturally, he brings that sweetness in his commentary, and that we can see here. Such music, dance, and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane, but because the Lord is addressed in the very beginning as Para, or transcendental, this transcendental knowledge is unknown to the forgotten conditioned souls. Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of the Lord, thus compiled the Vedic literatures to revive the lost memory of the conditioned souls about their eternal relation with the Lord. One should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor from the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Shukadeva. By a gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of the
What did it say?
By gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of the transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Leela. But without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's rasa dance and music. The pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, and there is no mundane distinction between the two. Amazing. What an amazing purport Prabhupada has written. 25th verse, the last verse of this chapter. Etadevatma bhurajan naradayu yavipruchate vedagarbho vidha sakshat yadaha hariratmanaha. Translation and purport. My dear king, Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narada, exactly appraised him on this subject, as it has been directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. Purport. As soon as Brahma was born in the abdominal lotus petals of Vishnu, he was impregnated with Vedic knowledge, and therefore he is known as Vedagarbha. or a Vedantist from the embryo without Vedic knowledge or perfect, infallible knowledge, no one can create anything. All scientific knowledge and perfect knowledge are Vedic. One can get all types of information from the Vedas, and as such, Brahma was impregnated with all perfect knowledge so that it was possible for him to create. Thus, Brahma knew the perfect description of creation as it was exactly appraised to him by the Supreme Lord Hari. Brahma, on being questioned by Narada, told Narada exactly what he had heard directly from the Lord. Narada again told exactly the same thing to Vyasa, and Vyasa also told Shukadeva exactly what he heard from Narada. And Shukdev was going to repeat the same statements as he had heard them from Vyasa. That is the way of Vedic understanding. The language of Vedas can be revealed only by the above-mentioned disciplic succession and not otherwise. There is no use in knowledge must be factual. There are many things that are complicated and one cannot understand them unless they are explained by one who knows. The Vedic knowledge is also very difficult to know and must be learned by the above mentioned system. Otherwise, it is not at all understood. Shukadeva Goswami therefore prayed for the mercy of the Lord so that he might be able to repeat the very same message that was spoken directly by the Lord Brahma, or what was directly spoken by Brahma to Narada. Therefore, the statements of creation explained by Shukadeva Goswami are not at all, as the mundaner suggests, theoretical, but are perfectly correct. One who hears these messages and tries to assimilate them gets perfect information from the material creation. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, fourth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Process of Creation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, let's chant our Mangala Charana and then we will start our discussions. Om Ajnantimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saavadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जानुलंबित भुजौ कनकावधातौ संकीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वम्भरौ द्विजभरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणा अवतारौ यन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूप्तां सञ्जीवयत्य अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणाश्रवणात्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। भूतैर्महद् Bhutair mahadbhirya ima puro vibhu nirmaya shete yadamushu purushaha bhunte gunan shodasha shodashatmakaha solang krishishta bhagwan vachamsi me. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who, in his Purusha incarnation, causes the living being to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements. So, Shukdev Goswami, what are the qualities of this great personality, Shukdev Goswami? Why it is said in the beginning that when the fruit is fully ripe and when it is touched by the beak of the parakeet, the taste enhances many folds, and we can see the mood of Shukdev Goswami here, that his humility, his profound understanding of everything, and still at the same time, with a very beautifully decorated language, he offers his prayers with that utmost humility to the Supreme Lord. And this whole Mangala Charana from the earlier verses as well, we have been seeing. It comes to the conclusion here. And if we just meditate on these prayers, we can see that how profoundly he has chosen every single word in his prayers. So we can see here one who incarnated, means avatar. Actually, incarnation and avatar is not exactly same. Avatar, tarana means to float. Ava means to down. So Lord, by his own will, his avatar is also his enjoyment. He descends in the material world or wherever he wants to go, is also is a pleasurable thing for everyone else, for all the living entities, and for himself. Upadrashtanumanta bhokta maheshwara. For us, as Srila Prabhupada says that peace formula, bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. He is the supreme enjoyer. But in the 13th chapter, he again, Lord says that bhoktaram, upadrashtanumantacha. I am the actual enjoyer. In 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also he says that. We saw that last time. He is the actual enjoyer. And he is the one who is observer as well. Means at the same time, as Kunti Devi says in her prayers, that he is the actually supreme puppeteer. So that's what Shukdev Goswami's mood also is here in this particular prayer, that who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe. As His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says that if, last time we talked about it, if we are sleeping, lying down, practically we don't do anything. It's our lying down in our bed. It's not useful to anybody, neither to ourselves. But when Lord is lying down, he can, just by breathing, he can create and destroy and maintain and do everything. That is the supremacy of the Lord, and which Shukdev Goswami brings that mood that, yes, oh Lord, you can do anything and everything, because he establishes that supremacy. And Prabhupada very beautifully brings that in his purports here. And what he says in the purports, Srila Prabhupada says that he's bringing that point of knowledge has to come in the parampara system, and as Srila Shivram Swami very constantly emphasizes about the knowledge, that the two types of knowledge. The one is the inductive knowledge and second is the deductive knowledge. So inductive knowledge is the pratyaksha, paroksha and aparoksha, which is by our own senses and by our own tiny intelligence. We try to derive certain knowledge using our sense, and that is always incomplete and very high possibilities that it is imperfect. There will be mistakes, and obviously it will become complicated as Prabhupada says in the purport. So that is the inductive knowledge. Pratyaksha means across the eyes, paroksha means by someone else's senses, and aparoksha means by theory of negation. So that's the material way of gaining the knowledge. But the fourth type of knowledge is adhoksha, which is coming from the Lord himself, that just by the glance of the Lord, the living entities are getting that knowledge. So that is a very important aspect which Prabhupada is emphasizing here in the purport. That deductive knowledge comes in a parampara, and it is passed on as it is given by the Lord. If we see the inductive knowledge, someone adds their own ideas, their own theories, their own complications, and then it comes to us. For example, in physics, if you see the first theory of atomic theory was Newton's theory, and then it became Huygens wave theory, and then again Einstein and Bose, Satyendranath Bose, they said that no, actually it's a photons theory, and then it became Fermi and Dirac and Frankman, and they came with different ideas, and then it became a combination of both, because certain aspects of the theory fits for the Huygens wave theory, and certain aspects fit in the particle theory of energy. So that complication, now then it came to the subatomic particles and so on and so forth. There is no firm conception we have about this, what is energy. And then Einstein came up with E is equal to mc square, the theory of relativity, and so on and so forth. So this whole thing, because the inductive knowledge doesn't give a clarity of what this creation is. Whereas when it's a deductive knowledge, whatever is necessary for us for the devotional service, that comes perfectly. And if we want to know more, Lord will reveal that if we are capable enough. And that's the reason in the earlier chapter, Shaunak Rishi, he gives a very, very, very important point here. And let's see if we can go to that earlier chapter. So here, the change in heart, and what is the point of changing of the heart? And then Shaunak Rishi said, those are very, very heavy statements actually. Shaunak Rishi, what he says here, that O son of Vyasadeva, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, was highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner, and we could see the poetry in this all the prayers. What did Maharaj Parikshit again inquire from him after hearing all that he has said? And then he glorifies Shukadeva Goswami. Here is the qualification of Maharaj Parikshit. It starts actually here. The grandson of Pandavas, he had an excellent lineage. Perfect birth in a very, very exalted family of devotees. Was from very childhood devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of the family deity. Such a beautiful atmosphere about the Maharaj Parikshit is said here. And then Shaunak Rishi says that as we were talking about, very heavy statement. Shonakrushi says, men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses, praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna and the deliverer from evils. And then he says, this is then these are all the famous statements actually to remind us that one who has not listened to the message about the prowess and marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and a tongue like a tongue of a frog, croaking of frog. And then he says, this is a very famous verse actually. All of them are actually. But this one, the person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Means he's setting, and then Sutta Goswami, he starts glorifying Sutta Goswami. Your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain this to us as it was spoken by the great devotee Shukdev Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge and who spoke to Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked. And then we are looking at the prayers from Shukdev Goswami today. So here Prabhupada is giving the importance of parampara system, and then he talks about the Vedic literature, how the creation took place. Today is a very, very auspicious day, very important day for all of us to get the mercy of Mahadev, of Shambhu, Vaishnavanam Tatha Shambhu. And then that's why we will quickly discuss this, and then we will actually go to the prayers by Lord Shiva himself. Again, he covers some of the aspects what Shukdev Goswami is bringing in these prayers. So we will go to that. Material elements, creation, and all these are all the details Prabhupada is giving here, all the 5 elements and then sense organs and everything. So let's go to the next verse. Namastasmai bhagavate vasudevaya vedase papurdnyanam ayam samya yanmukham buruha savam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudev, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink of the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Again, the poetic composition of coming from Shukdev Goswami. In fact, throughout the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, every composition coming from the lotus mouth of Shukdev Goswami is so beautiful. The choice of words is so perfect in everything, and we can see that how the composition is in this particular verse. Here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, we were just talking about Sridhar Swami's commentary, and then Jiva Goswami's commentary, and then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, or Madhurya Rasa Acharya. He says that the nectar from the mouth of Krishna is transferred to his different consorts, and thus they learn the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, and all such things which are relished by the Lord. So, what our Acharya is explaining here, he's saying that everything which we are aware of, which is beautiful, or the opulence of the Lord, the vibhuti of the Lord, which is special opulence of the Lord, may it be a music or any form of art or dressing and decorations and very relishable intellectual discussions and everything, that is actually coming, that is the opulence of the Lord he has shared with us. And then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying here that such music, dance and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane, because Lord is addressed in the very beginning as para or transcendental. So what this means is, if we are misusing the opulences of the Lord, including the intelligence and the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, discussions, everything, as in earlier chapter, Shaunak Rishi was saying that if we are living like animals, using just the property of the Lord and not worshipping Him, not trying to follow the devotional service, that person is no less than an animal. He's a dead man, though breathing. As we were saying, that is a very heavy definition of non-devotees, Shaunak Rishi is saying here. And then this transcendental knowledge is unknown to the forgotten conditioned souls. This is a very interesting statement, actually. In one, sometime back, long back actually, once Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj was discussing about the Vedic knowledge in one group. He said something amazing. He said that first time when he read Bhagavad Gita, and he did not know that this is going to be the basis of the sampradaya he was going to follow. But as soon as he read Bhagavad Gita, what struck his mind, he said that actually I know this. I am aware of this knowledge. This is something which sounds familiar to me, but at the same time, it was very refreshing. So the transcendental knowledge is unknown to the forgotten conditioned souls. So that means this knowledge is always there with us. And that is why when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, when we read Bhagavad Gita, and someone explains it to us in a proper manner, as per the parampara system, as our acharyas, and then we say, actually, this is wonderful. I have learned something new, but at the same time, this was something I relished, which in the inner feeling I was aware of. I could relate to it. And that the reason behind that is, it is our conditioning, forgotten conditioned souls. So, and very mercifully, Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of the Lord, thus compiled the Vedic literatures to revive lost memory of conditioned souls of their eternal relation with the Lord. One should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor from the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Shukadeva. So, importance of parampara and listening everything from the right source. Again, the question will come to our mind, and it's a very valid question. In fact, I asked that question to Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj once in one of the classes, that we will, Vyasadeva, Shukdev Goswami, and our acharyas and many other Vaishnavas, we will keep listening from many people, many people. And then as per the bhava, the mood, and the understanding, the person will explain, and the listener will understand that as per their conditioning, or maybe what at time, according to the time, place, and circumstances. So many people are talking about Vedic literature, about Srimad Bhagavatam, about Bhagavad Gita, about so whom shall we listen to? That was the very obvious question. And Maharaj said that, yes, we should listen to people who are wherever there is a discussion about the Lord, about the spiritual topics, we should listen to it, but with one condition, that the person who is talking, he or she should have that humility. If there is a pride in it, then that is a contaminated part. Means then we are bringing that pride in between, and that pride will distort the actual knowledge, the actual mood of that. And that's what Shukdev Goswami is bringing here. Very, very important point. He says that you are the Supreme Lord. 16 divisions of material modes, which is his generator. Be pleased to decorate my statements. We can see the mood of humility of Shukdev Goswami. And that's the important aspect, that if the speaker has that humble approach, the humility, and as the listener as well, as the Bhagavad Gita says, that pariprashnena sevaya, means you should ask the question in the mood of servitude. Upadekshantite jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. And that person who is a realized person, he will give a tattva darshina, means he will show the right direction of the principle of devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's what Prabhupada comes to the point here, that by gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of the transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Leela. So when we understand the supremacy of the Lord, the basic principle, the Mula Tattva, and then how to use his opulences for his service only and not for our sense gratification, then one can rise to the stage of transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Leela. For the conditioned soul, it's very easy to misunderstand the opulences of the Lord, that they are made for me instead of serving the Lord. Very much possible. And then he says further, but without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of Lord, Rasa dance, and music. The pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of profound philosophical discourses, in the form of kissing by the Lord in the Rasa dance. So as Prabhupada says that Lord delivering Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or Rasa dance, or him playing the Dhyuta or some Krida in Dwarka, his queens, there is no difference. It's the same thing. For the conditioned soul, we see the differences. But for the pure devotee, it is the same. That Leela is at the same platform. Very, very high level of understanding person should have to absorb this Mula Tattva, the basic concept. Let's go to the next verse. Etadevatma bhurajan naradaya vipruchyate vedagarbhobhyadat sakshat yadaha hariratmanaha. My dear King Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narad, exactly appraised him on this subject, as it has been directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. In the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Maitreya is explaining the process of creation to Mahatma Vidur, at that time, he explains the process of creation and then Lord Brahma offering his prayers. Very beautiful. We won't go to that because we don't have time. But those are all amazing prayers in the third canto. And the whole chapter is very, very, very rich, very sweet, and very relishable. So again, in this particular purport, we went through Vedagarbha and Vedic details. Srila Prabhupada explains how again, this is the emphasis is on parampara, Brahma to Narad Muni, and then to Vyasadev, to Shukdev Goswami, and then further how important it is. Our sampradaya is Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So Lord Brahma is our Pratham Acharya. Actually, he's the first Acharya. He is the one who is giving the knowledge to us. And that's what it is bringing in the purport here. So we will come to quickly bring Lord Shiva's prayer, because today is the Mahashivratri, and what is the mood of Lord Shiva, that we will quickly go to. So Prachetas, in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the sons of the 10 sons of King Prachinavari, they get the mercy of Narad Muni, and Narad Muni tells them that your is not for sense enjoyment and being in the family life and all that. Your objective of life should be self-realization. And they take the instruction as it is from Narad Muni. And then eventually they start going further. Whole 4th canto is actually about avoiding the offenses. And we'll come to that. Otherwise, I will get a bit carried away explaining the concept of the 4th canto. So here, Lord Shiva meets them. This is the description of the abode of Lord Shiva. It comes here, in that great lake. While traveling, Prachetas have to see the great reservoir of water. You can read that from 20th to 32nd verse. How Lord Shiva started giving started his prayers. So those are the verses from the 424. And then 33rd verse, Lord Shiva addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with the following prayer. And this is the prayer. Let's pray in our mind that may the topmost devotee of the Lord, Vaishnavanam Tatha Shambhu, Lord Shiva, be pleased with us, and he be merciful to us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our Acharya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, has written one of the most melodious and most beautiful song in that mood of surrender to Lord Shiva. Ohe Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sagora. So that's what Lord Shiva is. His prayer is. Let's read that. Is someone like to read, or shall I continue reading? Anyone can read from verse 33, and then we can read few verses, and then we will stop because we have only 5-6 minutes.
I'm happy to read.
Yes, of course. Text number 33. You can start. Yeah.
Lord Shiva addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with the following prayer. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all glories unto you. You are the most exalted of the self-realized souls. Since you are always auspicious for the self-realized, I wish that you be auspicious for me. You are worshipable by virtue of the all-perfect instructions you give. You are the super soul. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you as a supreme living being.
Thank you. Very beautiful. Yeah. So again, you can see the humility of Lord Shiva here, the way he glorifies the Supreme Lord. You're always auspicious for the self-realized. I wish that you be auspicious for me. Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity. He is a guna avatar of the Lord, but at the same time, he's the topmost devotee as well. So you are worshipable by virtue of all the perfect instructions you give. So he's telling Prachetas that by virtue of all perfect instructions you give. So we are supposed to follow the instructions, the scriptures, or the deductive knowledge we are getting in Parampara, as we are discussing in our today's 3 verses. And Lord Shiva's mood is also the same. You are the super soul, therefore I offer my obeisances unto you as the supreme living being. Yes, Chetnavataji, you can read 34th verse.
My Lord, you are the origin of the creation by virtue of the lotus flower which sprouts from your navel. You are the supreme controller of the senses and the sense objects, and you are also the all-pervading Vasudev. You are most peaceful, and because of your self-illuminated existence, you are not disturbed by the 6 kinds of transformations.
Yeah, thank you. So again, this is Lord Shiva, as he's the topmost devotee. He's saying here, what he's repeating what? Aham sarvasya Prabhu, matas sarva pravartate. You are the origin of the creation by the virtue of the lotus flower which sprouts from your navel. He's basically talking about Lord Brahma's appearance, and then how he creates the sense objects, supreme control of this of the senses. That's why we call the Krishna as another name of his is what? Controller of the senses. What is his name?
Rishikesha.
Rishikesha. Thank you, Mataji. So you are also all-pervading Vasudeva. So what that means is the existence of the living entity, the presiding deity for the existence of every living entity. That presiding deity is Vasudeva, all-pervading Vasudeva. When we get up from the sleep, first thing we realize is what? That I exist. And that's because the mercy of the presiding deity, Vasudeva. You are most peaceful, and because of your self-illuminated existence, you are not disturbed by 6 kinds of transformations. So again, such an instructive verses, such a beautiful prayer, perfect compositions of these great devotees of the Lord. Yes, Chetnavataji, 35th verse.
My dear Lord, you are the origin of the subtle material ingredients and the master of all integration, as well as the master of all disintegration, the predominating deity named Sankarsana, and the master of all intelligence, known as the predominating deity Pradyumna. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
Yes, you can continue the 36th verse as well, because we can discuss that together.
Okay. My Lord, as the supreme directing deity known as Aniruddha, you are the master of the senses and the mind. I therefore offer my obeisances unto you again and again. You are known as the Ananta as well as Sankarsana because of your ability to destroy the whole creation by the blazing fire from your mouth.
Great, thank you. So again, Lord Shiva is saying here that master of all integration as well as the master of all disintegrations. The predominating deity named Shankarshan, that is the deity of Ahankara, of every living entity's Ahankara, that I exist. First is Vasudeva, that this world exists. That is the sense of existence is Vasudeva. And then he is coming to this point of I exist, Shankarshana, and that is, what is that? Ahankara. That's the presiding deity of Shankarshan. The true ego and the false ego. Existence is because of the expansion from the Shankarshan, and that's what Lord Shiva is referring to here. And then he comes to the master of intelligence. The presiding deity obviously is Pradyumna, yeah? Predominating deity. And therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So, actually, the in charge of this whole material world is Lord Shiva. He's the Guna Avatara. But if we look at the prayers, that is his humility, and that is the quality of the topmost devotee. He's saying here. And then in the next verse, the presiding deity of the senses and the mind. Who is that? Aniruddha, expansion of the Lord himself. I therefore offer my obeisances unto you again and again, and you are known as Ananta as well as Shankarshana because of your ability to destroy the whole creation by the blazing fire from your mouth. This is the actual Lord Shiva himself has shared that opulence, and as we know, when he does that Tandava Nritya, the world gets destroyed. He has that what do you call the power of destruction, and then he says in the 37th verse, yes, Chetnavataji, you can continue for this.
My lord, O Aniruddha, you are the authority by which the doors of the higher planetary systems and liberation are opened. You are always within the pure heart of the living entity. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you. You are the possessor of semen which is like gold, and thus, in the form of fire, you help Vedic sacrifices, beginning with Chaturhodra. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you.
Yeah. So Lord Shiva is giving here the actual process of creation in a high concentration, in a very perfect wording. He's saying that how the whole creation is taking place, and Prabhupada was giving that point earlier as well. So then Lord Shiva talks about different aspects of the creation and the greatness of the Lord, and then how he the different expansions of the Lord, how the whole process of creation happens. That's the whole all prayers here. I think we are running out of time, so we won't go to that discussion. But if we quickly go to the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and the 20th verse here, here. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashaya Sthitaha Ahamaschadimadhyam cha Bhutanamanta evacha. I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of every living entity. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. And that's how Lord starts when Arjun says that now I want to know more. When he offers his glorification to the Lord, saying that Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashwatam, Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam Vibhum. And thereafter, after a few verses, when Arjun says that I want to know more about your vibhuti, about your opulences, and then I think if we go to the next verse, then Lord starts, I am Aditya, of Adityas I am Vishnu, and Maruts I am Marichi, and all that. But even before, Lord says that my opulences are unlimited. Where he starts. Hantate kathaishyami divyaya yatma vibhutayah pradhanyatah kuru shrestha nastyanto vistarasya me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said that, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna. For my opulence is limitless. And this Prabhupada in this purports, this one and the even later one, he gives a very detailed aspects of what this composition of the verse is, why Lord, how Lord says this, what is that vibhuti, what is the principle of opulence. And then he comes, if we go to the next purport here, he actually brings the summary of the creation of this material world, Mahat Tattva and Pradhan and everything. I think there is a lot to discuss. Already it's 9:05, so I will stop here. Are there any comments or questions, or we can stop? Amok Prabhu, thank you. Your presence is very auspicious. Thank you for being here. So if you have any comments or anything to add, please feel free.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Very wonderful and very beautiful class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for it. Yeah, and so just one Sukadev Goswami was Bhutir Mahidbrima Purvi Buhu Nirmai Seti Yadamosh Purusha. So there he solemn Krishna Bhagavan Vacham Simi, the Lord will be pleased with my words. So he is in his prayers, very beautifully he is asking in those 23rd verse.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it should be the prayer in our Mangala Charana. When we start our classes, we can include this prayer. It's so beautiful that material modes, which is a generator, be pleased to decorate my statements. So we can also actually chant this prayer. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji, it is very beautiful. So Brahma, he says, whenever we are chanting these things, न भारति में घम रुषोपलक्ष्यते न वै क्वचित् मे मृषा मनसो मृषा गतिः न वै क्वचित् मे. So he says that whatever I speak, it will not go wrong because I always keep Lord in the heart. And here, just remembering those Brahma's words to Narada, and Sukadeva Goswami is adding in his prayers this one.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you. Your words are like icing on the cake, actually. Means I haven't spoken anything special, just repeated, but it's nice the way you add your special pearls. Thank you very much, Amakru.
Thank you, Prabhuji. You are giving very, very good classes and bringing all the kinds of scriptural differences, putting all the beads together and making a decorate nice garland. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
for your encouragement. Yeah, any other?
Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam, Yogesh Prabhu. Thank you for a wonderful class.
Hare
I
Krishna.
have a question, Prabhu. So we read consistently that Shiv Bhagavan is Vaishnava, Sambho, the best amongst devotees, but that yet we also then learn that there is no other greater devotees than the gopis. So how do we square that? Are the gopis higher than Shiv Bhagavan, or is Shiv Bhagavan higher than the gopis?
Okay. Now, in English terms, when we say this is higher or this is, it comes to the very objective, comparative type of ideas. Obviously, gopis are topmost devotees, but Lord Shiva is also one of the gopis. And if we see in that perspective, but in the material creation for our sadhana, for our when we see that whose footsteps we should follow, and who is the in charge of this material world, who's our day-to-day prayers and our sadhana, who are all the personalities we should be offering our prayers to? Certainly to gopis, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Ramya Kachita Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargenaya Kalpita. Obviously, they are all the topmost devotees. But at the same time, those gopis can come in the form of devotees in the material world, like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and all our acharyas. They are also in the spiritual world at the same time. And in the same way, Lord Shiva is also there in the spiritual world. He is also one of the gopis, and he has his expansions as well. Those, in that perspective, yes, of course, we are offering our prayers to gopis. And if we look at that particular platform, our prayers to Lord Shiva and to gopis are non-different, actually. So, yes, but offering prayers to every Vaishnava is great. Means we should, that will bring some humility to us. So
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. I wasn't questioning who we should offer prayers to. I was just questioning in terms of hierarchy of topmost devotee.
Yeah, because the problem is, if you see the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the questions and the discussions there. And then Bhakti Ratnakar and all other Jiva Goswamis, Priti Sandarbha and Bhakti Sandarbha and Tattva Sandarbha and all that. He emphasizes the point that hierarchy in the devotees is at the material level, because we are all sadhakas. Offering our prayers to the topmost devotees, there is no comparison there. They are all super exalted personalities who have access to Vaikuntha Lok very easily. So that comparison, instead of comparing, we can just keep offering our prayers and pray for the purification of our heart, that vidunoti surutsatam, by listening to the pastimes of the Lord and his devotees. That is our prayer, and that's our purification.
So the way Bhakti Rasamrita Swami answered this question was that he said, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas,
Yeah.
our mood is that of Vrindavan, and our mood is that of being the servant of the servants of the servants of the gopis, and therefore for us, our role models are the gopis, and therefore we consider the gopis as being the topmost. So that was Bhakti Rasamrita Swami's response. So,
of course, but at the same time, Lord Shiva is also a gopi.
But he's not the top. He's not the topmost gopi. He's not. Rather, he is not the top 8 gopis.
We don't know that. Means that is.
But he is. He isn't the top 8 gopis, is he?
No,
he's not amongst the top 8 gopis.
I don't think I have any slightest capacity to judge or understand the position of this great topmost Vaishnavas. Means it's beyond my capacity to even understand their magnanimity and their greatness. So maybe Amok Prabhu, if you have any inputs, you can add that. But
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, we have added all these points. I don't have much to add. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. If there are, I think we are already quite late. Thank you very much, everybody. Wish you all very happy Mahashivratri. May Lord Shiva bestow his mercy upon all of us. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha pitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo ananta koti vaishnavvrinda ki jai. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Excellent class.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Wonderful class, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, for your encouragement.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.